Hello again, and welcome to Chapter 3, Section 4. We are looking at solving multiple step inequalities. So, on the page in front of you, hopefully you picked up a note template in class. If not, you can probably print one off my website, or you can get a piece of paper and turn it sideways and draw 3 lines. Main ideas, examples, descriptions, written like it is on the paper. Please put your topic or the main idea down. I'd like to see that on your paper, as well as your name and the date, which I ran out of room over here, but if you put your name and date, you have that on your paper, that would be great. September 29th is today. And then here is the first question. If you would write solve and graph the solutions for this, 3 times the quantity x plus 1 minus 4x is greater than or equal to -5. Again, make sure you are hitting pause as you go through the videos, asking yourself questions on, clarifying questions on what you do or do not understand. Bring your questions to class, please. Also, rewrite the question here in the middle. It's the area that we'll be working it out, and you'll have set up a nice little study sheet for you as we go. So let's get down to business here. The first thing I want to do in solving a multi-step inequality is you want to simplify both sides. So write that over here. Simplify both sides. Now there are 2 conditions to simplifying an equation or an inequality. It's the same idea if it's an equation or inequality. The first idea that you have to do to simplify is get rid of parentheses. Okay. Number 2, to simplify, you have to combine like terms. Combining like terms, that means we can add together the exact same variables, but you cannot add numbers that don't have the exact same variables, and we're going to see that happen in this particular problem. So that's our first goal that we're going to deal with here. And I have a problem that this is not simplified, so I have to actually get rid of this parentheses first. And I'm going to do that in my first line. I'm going to distribute the 3. That's 3 times the quantity, x plus 1. The distributive property is something we should have a working knowledge of at this point. It's 3x plus 1 minus 4x. It's still greater than or equal to -5. Okay, now at this point, notice that I have this term and this term both have an x. This 3 does not have an x, therefore I can combine the 3x minus the 4x, or as I prefer to do, I prefer to think of that as plus -4, just because I find that students make more accurate computations when they think in terms of addition. So I can add 3x to -4x and get -1x. All right, now I still have this plus 3 right here that is lingering around. Do not add that plus 3 to the x because the 3 does not have a like term, and it's still greater than or equal to -5. Now we just finished the question off. I'm going to add, now whoops, I wrote that wrong. Hold the phone, let me get my eraser. I want to isolate the x, and the x is right here. Okay, that's my target. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to undo that addition by adding -3 to both sides. Now, ask yourself, do I change the sign when I add a negative to both sides? No, you don't. You only do that when you multiply or divide a negative. So here's what's going on. We have 1x is greater than or equal to -5 plus -3 is -8. Now let me make a note here in my notes over here. So that was like part 1 that had 2 parts, and this is like part 2 here. All right, at this point what you want to do is you want to solve for x. That's what we did when we added the -3. And remember, you undo addition first, always, before you undo what's multiplied. Now, the third step here is I continue solving for x. We're going to multiply both sides by -1. All right, so I'm going to multiply or divide. You can multiply or divide, actually. I'll go over here, times -1 times -1. Okay, and that's where it happens. You reverse those signs, or the sign, because you multiplied by -1 or divide by -1. So that sign will reverse at that point right there. And that now, -1 times negative is now positive 1x. That's what you're looking for. -8 times -1 makes that positive 8. So this question, it's x where all values are less than or equal to 8. To do that graph, All right, I'll do that right here. When you do graphs from homework in the book, here's what I'm okay with. All right, make a nice line. I think I mentioned this in an earlier video. You should put 0 as kind of a marker, a perspective marker. And then I like to just put the boundary 8, and then I like the opposite value. So you kind of have a nice perspective of where you are on the number line here, even though I didn't space mine very well right there. Recall you have a closed circle. I'll add that note over here. I'm running out of space. I can't go down much here, but you're going to close your circle when you graph this. SCIR. I can't write with this airliner apparently. Close circle because you have or equal to there. So you want to close dot on the 8. I'll draw my number line above. You can do it right on the number line there. Do a closed circle there. X is all values less than that. So it's going to be all values right there. What you should do in your head is you should think, well, these numbers that I'm putting on here that I'm covering up, that I'm going past like 0. Would 0 make that true? 0 less than or equal to 8? Is that true? I think so. 0 is less than 8. Negative 8 less than 8? Yes, it is. So you can see that that represents all the values of x over there that you've just done. Okay, but the main thing for us, hopefully you've got graphing down. It's being able to get from beginning to end and keeping those signs straight. Because if you flip that sign around, you're going the wrong way and you're picking all the numbers that really are not solutions to that inequality. Let's try the second one, if you would. Right above this, you should have put a dotted line. Sorry, I kind of went through that. You're on the same page. I have to do a new page for each problem because of the space it takes up. Do a dotted line if you have room on that first page. And copy this one down. 6x minus 1 is less than or equal to 3x plus 8. 6x minus 1 less than or equal to 3x plus 8. All right, now on this particular problem, you have a variable on both sides. All right, when you have that happen, all right, you want to move the variables to both sides, but you wouldn't start to doing that until you've simplified it. Now, this side is simplified because there's no parentheses, there's no like terms. This side is simplified because there's no parentheses or no like terms. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move all the variables to one side by adding the opposite. Okay, so I think the easiest thing here would be to subtract 3x, so that's what I'm going to do. So the question is, do I reverse my sign? No, you do not reverse the sign because you didn't multiply. You just subtracted, and you can subtract. If you don't understand that, go back and review your notes from 3-2. All right, 3x minus 3x is 0, but you have 8 left here. Now you're just going to solve this two-step equation. Add 1 to both sides. Remember, you undo addition first. Add 1 to both sides, you have 3x. Do I flip the sign? No, never with addition. You will never flip the sign with addition. And then divide by 3. Do you flip the sign here? I hope you said no, not when you divide by a positive number. 9 divided by 3 is 3. X is less than or equal to all values of 3. So we graph it. 0 in the middle. Boundaries, 3 and negative 3. X is all values less than 3. So solid dot again because I include the 3, and X is all values less than 3 goes this way. Again, I'm fine if you, it's probably better to put your graph on the number line. I was just doing that to just make it a little more clear for you to see, but I can do this. Whoops, almost got everything right there. Okay, that's really what yours should look like there. Just make sure that number line is, or the arrow is real clear which direction that's going there. So, all right, I've got 2 more questions to work through for you, plus the word problem, and I'm at 9 minutes, so I'm going to stop this video and make 1 more. It looks like we're going to have a total of 3 videos to get through this.